Okay, so what we're going to do right now is we're going to setting up is the most important part of this. Set up and solve angle pair questions when we're solving for a variable. So there are a couple of things that you need to make sure you keep in mind. When you set up an equation, it's a relationship, and all of these problems we're going to be comparing in some way, either directly or indirectly, two different expressions. So basically, what you've got when you compare them directly, you'll be saying, okay, this is equal to this, or this is, so one quantity is the same as another one. It could be less than, or it could be greater than. Now, if we're going to be setting up an equation, we want it to be equal to. So if they're not quite balanced, if they're not equal, we have to add or subtract to one side or the other. When we're dealing with these angle pairs, we won't actually have to worry about that because the relationships are all either congruent, so one angle congruent to the other angle, or they have some other relationship where you can compare them indirectly. Let's say two angles add up to 180 degrees. So, so then you add the two angles together, and then you compare them to the 180. And then you solve it. So that's the comparison in the equation is when you have them set up. So the first thing you want to do is you want to identify the angle pair. Now when you identify the angle pair, along with that angle pair, there should be the knowledge of what the relationship between the angles is. So if we have parallel lines indicated by these two arrows going the same direction, parallel lines cut by a transversal, and we're looking at these two angles right here, the way to identify them is looking at the transversal. They're on alternate sides and they're both on the exterior. They're outside of these parallel lines. So these are alternate exterior angles. So in this case, they're alternate exterior angles. Okay, so that would be the identification part. The second part is you should know what these are, what's true about these. So alternate exterior angles, the property of alternate exterior angles is these two angles must be the same. They're congruent. So okay, so alternate exterior angles are congruent. So the second part is to understand and know, or to know what the relationship is. And the third step is to put that relationship into an equation, or to write an equation based on the relationship. And the easiest way to do that is just to look at all the operations. In this case, we're just going to take two different expressions. This will be 3x plus 40. You'll say it exactly the way it's written there. And this is 5x plus 5x. Knowing what this is, if they are congruent, let's see, where does it say? Alternate interior angles are congruent. That's the same as saying their measures are equal to each other, right? So this is the measure of that angle. So we would say 3x plus 40 is equal to 5x. I mean, that's what congruent says, right? So we say that out loud. As you're saying it, write down what you're writing. So 3x plus 40 is equal to, so remember, congruent means the measure of an angle, right? And two angles are congruent to each other if they have the same measure. And the measure is basically our number. So we're saying this represents some number. So 3x plus 40 is equal to, write that down, because that's what is equal to is 5x. Okay, so there's your equation. Once you've done that, then you solve it. So remember, you're trying to get the variable isolated on one side. I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides here. We're left with 40 equals 2x. 40 equals 2x. We divide both sides by 2. And we get 20 equals x. Okay, so the variable is equal to x. Equal to 20. But if we're looking at the angle measure, it's not 20. So 5x would be 5 times x. So the angle measure is 100. You can always check it. You should check it in both of them to make sure that you did this correctly. So 3 times 20 plus 40, 3 times 20 is 60. So both angles are 100. Okay. Now, when you're solving with working with angle pairs, the angle pairs that we'll be working with, they all have a specific relationship. So this is how you would work it if they are congruent to each other. But other times the angle pairs are not congruent. They might be supplementary, or they might be complementary. Supplementary is when they add to 180 degrees. Complementary is when they add to 90. So all you have to do is, again, identify the angle pair. So let's say we have 6x plus 4 and let's make this one 2x plus 80 and 6x plus 4, and these are parallel lines. And that's your transversal. So identify the angle pair. These are both on the same side of the transversal, and they're exterior. So these are same side, exterior angles. Okay, what's true about same side exterior angles? Well, same side exterior angles are supplementary. What supplementary mean? It means they add to 180. Their sum is 180. So we take this one and we take this one, we add them together, we get 180 degrees. Okay, so all you do now, just like before, you just write everything down and say it as it goes, right? So when we say add to 180, what we're talking about is it's equal to, right? When we add them up and it's equal to, like for instance, 180, if we take those two numbers, they add to 180. The sum is 180, right? So we would say 100 plus 80 equals 180. This is different because we don't know what these numbers are. We can't assume they're 180. It could be something else. So what you do is you take the first one, write it down. So 2x plus 80 plus the other one, which is 6x plus 4. That's what adding is, right? So 2x plus 80 plus 6x plus 4 equals 180. When we say the sum is 180, it means after you add them up, the answer is 180. So the sum is actually the word for the answer. It's the result when you add numbers together. So we have 2x plus 80 plus 6x plus 4 equals 180. So here the relationship, we're putting both of these on the same side. We're not actually comparing these two directly. We're using the relationship between the two. They add to 180, or they sum to 180 to set up our equation. Now, you combine your like terms. 2x and 6x is 8x. 80 plus 4 is 84. Subtract 84 from both sides You get 8x equals 96. Divide both sides by 8. X equals 12. And then you can, this is the value for x. To find the value for the angles, you'll plug it in. Now this time, unlike the last one, these are not going to be the same. So if you define both of the angles, you put them in separately, and you want to get answers that are different. 6 times 12 is 72, plus 4, 76. So this is 76 degrees. This one here, 2 times 12 is 24. 24 plus 80 is 104. So 104 degrees on this one. Okay? If you're confident that you've done it right, the other way you could find this angle right here would just be to take 180, subtract 76, and you get 84. Oops. I'm sorry, 104. Yeah. Okay, so you get 104, right? Okay.